Episode 25, To Hell with the Podcast. Thanks for joining us. And as always, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe and keep up to date. We release an episode every Tuesday. I'm Tim. I'm here with Daryl, and we are here. If you're wondering, what in the world is To Hell with the Podcast? Well, this show we dedicate to one of our favorite bands of all time. We've been listening and following them for 40 years, the band Stryper, currently made up of Michael Sweet, Robert Sweet, Perry Richardson, and Oz Fox. And we talk anything and everything Stryper. And today's going to be a little bit different because it is episode 25, every 5 episodes. But I'll tell you about that in just a minute. But I want to welcome in Daryl. Good morning, man.
Hey, man. All good. It's podcast day, so
yes,
that always gets me out of bed with a little spring in my step. So yeah, I'm stoked to talk about this record because we can get to it. But yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this because I kind of had forgotten about a few things. So yeah, I'm stoked to talk about the record.
Yeah, and if you're wondering what record we're going to be talking about today, like I just said, episode 25. Because the guys in the band have different side projects, mainly specifically Michael Sweet. With it being episode 25, every 5 episodes, what we do is we take a step away from the catalog of Stryper and going more in depth about an album, or we've done things like, rank our top 10 albums by Stryper. We've done what would be our best concert list. We did a tribute to Eddie Van Halen. I mean, we usually stick to Stryper, but every 5th episode, we take a step outside and talk about one of the side projects. And what we did for episode 15 and then episode 20 and now episode 25 is we're talking about Sweet and Lynch. Sweet and Lynch, Michael Sweet, George Lynch, and this is their 3rd album. It's their latest album that came out in 2023. So it's been 3, I don't know when in 2023, I can't remember, but it's been 3 years ago now, based on a calendar. But we're going to be talking about Heart and Sacrifice today. That's the name of the album.
Yeah, man, this, the more I listen to this record, I love the first record so much, but this 3rd one, I don't know. It kind of, I don't know if I was just in a mood, but it hit me. I mean, there's no skippers on this thing, and I loved listening to it. I listened to it at least 4 times in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I listened to it. I was listening to it every morning before work, and then yesterday afternoon during my break, I sat down and listened to it again, and then I went through and I watched the videos that were released from Heart and Sacrifice. There was actually a George Lynch interview. It wasn't a Sweet and Lynch dedicated interview about Heart and Sacrifice, but Sweet and Lynch did come up in that interview because it was conducted a couple of years ago. And so a couple of interesting tidbits that I took away from that interview. He talked a little bit about Unified, which was the album prior to this one. But then one of the things that we've talked about before is touring, the two of them getting on the road and why they haven't done that yet and why it may look like, it's like they want to do it, but it doesn't look like it'll ever happen. So based upon that interview and what he was saying.
Yeah, I get so mad with these like quote super groups. I mean, I would love, and we brought this up before. I'd love to go see Sweet and Lynch in a club somewhere. I mean, it would be awesome. Same thing with, bands like KXM and, just all these little side projects. It's like, hey, do a show. I mean, that's the thing that kind of aggravates me about this because the music is quality.
Yes.
So, and I want to go see that live because I go to shows all the time, but it's like, yeah, some of these little side projects, they just never seem to be able to. And I'm sure it's a pain in the butt scheduling wise because they're already, doing, Mike's and Stryper. George is, I don't know what George is doing. Dawkins not a thing anymore, but I mean, it feels like just logistically, it's a pain in the butt for these guys to get it together and get on the road. But
yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, just with all the different projects that they have going on and the side things they do, I mean, I think just matching up. But then I also think, how hard would it be to say we're going to take 6 weeks in tour? But I'm not in the music business, and I'm not trying to criticize anybody. I'm just sitting there going, it doesn't seem that it would be that hard to say, hey, we're going to carve out 6 weeks. But I guess the planning, the logistics, the hiring the
The
crew,
crew.
getting all that kind of stuff, that's where the challenge comes in, especially when this isn't your main focus, where,
Right.
like you just said, Sweet is more dedicated to Striper than the Sweet and Lynch project. So I can see it, but it's just also like, it's only 6 weeks, you know?
Well, I mean, I know guys that are like on crews and lighting and all that stuff, and you'd be surprised of how freaking complicated it is.
Yeah. I
So,
could, yeah, tear down, set up, tear down, set up. And it's like, I mean, like you said, Michael Sweet is already running shows with Striper, and I mean, I don't mean this in a
and you
negative
gotta,
way towards anybody, anything or anybody, but I mean, it's, you know, we're when I watched the interview, and this was 2 years ago. Lynch said he was 69, so that means he would be 71 now, and Sweet is 63. So, maybe if it was in their 20s or 30s, it would be something different. But, somebody that's 71 years old, that may not be as appealing to him anymore.
well, yeah, well, George Lynch at 71 still looks like he's
Uh,
40.
I know, that's what pisses me off. I mean, I was looking at that video last night, and I was like going, you're 69? Good
Yeah,
gosh. He
yeah,
looks
he's
great
done
for 69.
yeah, he's done a lot of work to keep himself young, so good for him.
Yeah. And the right kind of work, not the let me inject my lips in my forehead and
No, no,
end
no,
up.
he's lifting.
Yeah, yeah. So he's doing it the right way. But before we get to this album, couple of things coming over from the news desk this week, and the one thing is this Wednesday, if you're a Patreon member, this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, Michael Sweet is doing a listening party for the album Even the Devil Believes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that is probably my favorite album on the back half of the catalog. And the only problem is I will just be getting off the floor show at this trade show I got to go to this week. And because 7 p.m. is going to be 5 or 4 for me being out where I'm going out on the West Coast. So I'm like, I won't be able to listen to it. But the good thing is I can listen to it later. So I'll be able to go in and listen to it. But yeah, they're doing a listening party, or he's doing a listening party for Even the Devil Believes. But what's interesting is I don't know if you saw this on Facebook, but what's interesting, they were supposed to do it last week on Wednesday,
Right.
but with the major snowstorms and everything that came through there, they lost power. Michael Sweet and at his house lost power, lost this, wasn't able to do the listening party. But then I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you're on Facebook, go read what they went through this week with the carbon monoxide alarms going off, taking care, it was like, wow, they went through a lot last week, and praise God that they're okay.
Yeah, that was, I mean, where he lives, especially, I mean, geez, they had like all the snow. So I'm not surprised that they lost power. So yeah, I am planning on dropping into that. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. I wish I could do it live, but I know right when I'm getting off the floor, I've got happy hour plans, dinner
Yeah,
plans,
yeah.
you're running right into all of that stuff. So I'm not going to be able to do it, but I will listen to it, maybe later that night or on the flight home the next day, because I got a 4-hour flight. I'll have plenty of time to listen to it the next day, connect to the Wi-Fi on the plane. But so that's coming up. Also coming up, and we talked about this last week with the master plan, another new song called Again is dropping on March 12th. And so he talked a little bit about that song, and this is what he posted in regards to this particular song, is that we all experience loss, we lose people that we love, yet we have to find a way to move on and continue living our lives to the fullest. The next song is called Again. It's about moving forward and never losing the faith or hope that we will see them again. So, kind of tie in to, uh, just what we have to look forward to as people that have faith in Christ, what we believe that when somebody passes, if they have faith in Christ and we have faith in Christ, that we are going to see them again one day. So, again, coming out on March the 12th. But like we said last week, I don't know if I want to listen to it because I've already heard 2 songs. I kind of want to wait for release day to listen to the rest of the album.
Dude, I'm totally there. And we talked about this before. I want the whole thing. I don't want just a tease or a single. I mean, but I know that's the world we live in right now. But yeah, I just want the whole thing because I want to listen to it and listen to the sequencing and their production and all the things that make a record a record. So yeah, I don't I'll listen to the singles, but yeah, it's funky to just kind of have one song at a time. I was like, just give me the whole thing. I don't want I don't want the appetizer. I want the meal. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I don't know. From this, it sounds like from a post that he did previously, it sounds like he's going to be releasing again on the 12th and that there will be a 4th song released before the album comes out in April. So with 10 songs on it, 40% of the record is released as singles before it already comes out. And like we talked about last week, it was like back in the day, you got one single as the tease and then the rest of the album, it came out.
Yep.
And
yeah, no, I I can't hate the model because I mean I know as an artist it's hard as hell to make money. So however you
yeah,
need to do that, that's cool. But and I will support whatever model is out there. But yeah, it is kind of funky because yeah, like you say, you get the first single and then you get the rest of the record. So yeah, but however they need to distribute it to make some money, I'm
yeah,
I'm stepping away and saying, hey man, do your thing.
we're in a different world.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, nobody's buying records anymore. I mean, so but yeah, the
Except
model is
you and
different.
I and other people, a few others.
Dang it. I got my Tower Records thing today. I got to figure out where I'm going to plug it in.
Oh,
So,
nice. Yeah. Cause is that like a neon light type of thing that says
yeah,
tower, or is it just a sign?
it's a light up sign with the Tower Records colors and all that kind of stuff. So for reference, I worked at Tower Records for 2.5 years or so when I was in college. So I got this thing that has this Tower Records colors and logo and kind of stoked about it actually. But I got to get that set up because it just came yesterday. So anyway,
Anyway, so yeah, we expect to see that next week.
yes, we will see that next week.
But as we go into Sweet and Lynch, album number 3, Heart and Sacrifice. So the original lineup for the first 2 albums was Sweet and Lynch, James Lomenzo, and Brian Tichy.
Yes.
For this particular album, it was still Sweet and Lynch, but they brought in Alessandro Del Vecchio. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his last name.
That's exactly
as the
right.
bass player, and Jelly Cardelli as the drummer. And what were I've got my initial thoughts on this record when I first heard it a few years ago, and then now that I've really listened to all 3 of them in a short amount of time, I even got more of an opinion on this album. But what is like your first initial thoughts as you were listening to it again this week?
My first initial thoughts were I love Brian Tichy. I mean, being the drummer, Tichy is awesome. Lomenzo is awesome. This rhythm section on this record is absolutely it's sick. I don't say the bass player was also he did part of the production, but the bass tone and there's a couple songs on here that start out with bass and drums and man, the bass tone and the talent of these two dudes, bass and drummer, which admittedly, I have no idea who these guys are. So I went and looked them up, but they mostly play overseas. So I don't know any of the bands that they've been in. I was looking through and the bass player especially, he's been in a bunch of bands. But yeah, it was like holy. I mean, he was in the pocket on the pocket on this record is just really nice because the rhythm section is always like in tune. So I don't know if these guys have played together before, but that was one of the things that impressed me re-listening to this record is the bass and drums are just like they're in lockstep, and the bass tone is really awesome.
Yeah, the I was probably first made aware of the bass player due to this album, and then I can't remember which one came out first, if it was Heart and Sacrifice or if it was we're in 26, so we saw. So I think it was 24 when Soul Driver put their album out, and that was Michael Sweet with Alessandro as well, and those were the two on that album. So he had worked. So if my chronology is correct, Sweet and Lynch first, and then Soul Driver. So that's how I became more familiar with him. But at the same time, isn't Frontiers? Aren't they? Isn't the label itself located in Italy or something like that? Did I?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
you're right.
so so they pull, and that's probably why they pull, like you said, these guys from overseas is because the label itself is overseas from what I read not too long ago. And I didn't realize that. I just thought it was just more of a stateside label.
No, they do. I mean, obviously, you know this, but I mean, they do a lot of old school sounding stuff. But yeah, Frontiers. I mean, that's. I think from what I gleaned from whatever research I did, they just pulled these guys from kind of a pool of musicians. Because if you look at Alessandro's wiki, it's like he's been in 8,000 bands. So, but no, man, he's a guy that I really wasn't familiar with, and I was really impressed with him and Cottarelli. I mean, they're both incredible players, and I haven't I haven't spent enough time with this record until the last week, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was really impressive, and I really enjoyed this record, and I haven't listened to it in probably a couple years at least. Well, hell, it came out in 23. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it was cool because we're used to Tichy and Lamenzo, and now we got something a little different and change the flavor up. So yeah, I'm down.
Yeah. This is where we're going to disagree.
Really? Okay. Preach
and
on
so,
it.
so this is what I'm going to say. I'm not going to, I liked this album. And for our listeners, if you've listened to this album, it probably won't come as any surprise to you. I liked this album, but out of the three albums, if I was going to rank the three albums in the order that I like them, I would probably say Unified, then Only to Rise, and then Heart and Sacrifice. And so out of the three, and that sounds bad because it's like, oh, he doesn't like the album. No, that's not the case. It's not that I don't like the album. I liked the other two a little bit. I liked the other two more than I did this one. And as I listened to it again this week, and I'm listening to it, I felt it's kind of funny because I know you're the drummer and the bass player. It's kind of funny as you say that. I felt like on the other two albums that it was that I could hear the bass playing and the rhythm section, more so than I did on this album. But there were a couple of songs and I was like, oh, there's the bass. Oh, and I remember thinking that when I was listening to it, but I liked, and it goes probably back to our styles of music as well, because when you think about Only to Rise, I mean, on this particular album, you didn't have songs like Me Without You. And you think about that song back to Only to Rise off of the first album. And then, they didn't have necessarily a song like Tried and True, more just that. This was a heavier album than the other two. And really, you don't really get, I don't want to say a slow song, but you don't get a slow song until the very last song on the album. It has a very different kind of flow to it. I'm not saying it's all hard and driving, but really the only but it doesn't, and lyrically I felt that it was a little different from the other albums as we went in,
I agree with
and
that.
that it wasn't, and I think lyrically for me it wasn't as relating to me as the other two albums were. And I think that's the reason why I put this one at number 3 out of those 3. And then when I did some research this week, I mean, this is what I found. It was like they described the vibe as a little heavier and darker, which I would agree with the heavier. The darker, I don't know if I would call it darker, but
No.
it was just different,
Yeah.
and it was different from the previous work. But if they want to call it darker, that's totally fine. I get it. And then but then even George Lynch went on to say that the process wasn't entirely smooth, that the label initially rejected some of the songs to begin with because they weren't melodic enough, and then he went back and made some changes, and and to the album. So it might have even been even a little bit different than what it came out. But I just feel like the things that really draw me into an album, even though I like it, out of the 3 albums, I would go to Unified first, then Only to Rise, and then this one. And it's just because it's just my flavor of music. Now there are some songs on this album that I really like. There are some songs, or I should say really love, because when I was taking the notes, I would be like, love this song. And then I would like, good song. And then I would be okay. And how I went through to kind of match it up and see how I liked it compared to the other albums. But that's just kind of where I landed on this particular album. Not to take away that I'm not saying it's bad. It's just I like the other two because there's some elements from the other two that when I first listened to this that I was anticipating that I didn't get in this album.
Well, I don't excuse me, I don't consider that a negative because I when I was making my notes, I was like, all right, there's some different flavors on here that I really enjoyed. I mean, there was like I don't know, there's one song in here that I didn't really care for, but
Which one was that?
well, we'll get to it. I mean, when I do my notes, I go bottom up and I had 3 at the bottom because they were just but everything above that was just like, holy I mean, with this rhythm section for me really like kind of hit it home because I mean, God love Brian Tichy and James Lomenzo, but and I know crap. Let me bring his name up again. I know the bass player had a hand in the production,
Yeah,
and
Alessandro
yeah,
Del Vecchio.
Alessandro, yeah, he had a hand in some of the production elements, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, because I think the overall thing for me was I like all of these songs, but I could feel the production elements and the bass tones and the drums, everything. The production was like, and I know God, Mike has his hands on everything, but yeah, it was just it sounded super clean. I could hear everything, and that was that's the thing I like when I get into a record that I really dig is like I can hear all the parts of everybody's playing and nobody's down in the mix. Everything's kind of equal. And so that's what I felt with this record.
Yeah. And so how should we get into this song wise? Do we just want to talk about the songs? Do we want to rank them? What do you want to do today?
I mean, we can rank them or we can just talk. I mean, we can start at the top or we can start at the bottom. I don't care. I mean, I have them all ranked and I could talk about each one of these. I don't it's all good. I feel like we're kind of vibing at this point. So
Yeah. Yeah. So because I will say this, one of the songs that ended up me writing okay next to might be one that you go, Good gosh, Tim, what are you thinking about, man?
Oh, well, let's go. We always have one of those.
So what and to me it was okay. And lyrically I did like it, but it just didn't necessarily pull me in like some of the other songs did on this album. And that's the title track, Heart and Sacrifice. See, I told you.
My gosh. Bro, you gotta be joking me.
No, I wrote okay next to that one.
You know what I wrote next to it? Banger.
It doesn't surprise me. It
Solo
doesn't.
is sick.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me.
How did you get? Okay, that's fine. That's cool. This is why we do this.
And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just, you know how you know, to me, it's not a skipper on the album, but to me, it's just kind of like, okay, I like this, okay.
Well, I could see how this ain't your jam. I mean, it's a heavier song and the solo is freaking sick. And yeah, I can see it, but again, this is why we do this.
Because
Yeah, so well, I'll give you my bottom, and that's Every Day,
where did I rank Every Day
which
at?
is not a bad song. It's just, see, again, I don't the more I listen to this record, there was I don't think there was any skippers, but this was the one that was at the bottom.
See, this song I love. I mean, I
Hey,
love this song.
I don't
love
hate
how
it.
I just love the groove of it. I love the beat. I love the beginning of it. I love it lyrically. This song, I just love. I was like into this song when I was. This is one of the ones I wrote. Love this one next to, because I just.
Well, I had so many others that I just, and again, once we get into the heavier stuff, but this was like, it's a up tempo, um, up key, so that's always going to be my just, it's fine. The lyrics are really good, but just the way it's framed for me, it's fine. I mean, it's a good song. It's just, I mean, again, we're gonna say this freaking thing a million times. It's got to go somewhere. So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I like the song, but it's just I had to kind of rank everything. So, but yeah, I mean, I feel it's very interesting to me, and I'll go off a little bit, but it's really interesting to me because if you look at the lyrics on this album as a whole, it's really funky that Mike is still like talking about Jesus and restoration and all this kind of stuff, and you got George Lynch over there just like,
Yeah, I know.
what are you talking about?
Because which one is it? Oh my gosh. Because I wrote my notes on it. You can keep talking. I'm just looking for my
No, that's
notes here
cool.
for a second.
Yeah, after all is said and done.
Yes, thank you. That I was just looking at the notes as you said that, and that song, that when you're talking about relationships, I mean that one's talking about how relationships change and drift, and I mean it's what did I end up writing next to that one? Yeah, that's another song I love off of this album. But I agree with you because lyrically, but what I found interesting too was and maybe I misinterpreted the lyrics on a couple of songs, but there also seemed to be a couple on here where, of course, because normally you have like I said, the Me Without You, tried and true, kind of a little bit slower, bluesier type songs on the previous albums. Now you've got, quote, a love song and Miracle. You've got those types of songs in there. And then, but I also felt like we had it going great and now it's over type of lyrical theme in there. So it was just kind of like it was a to me it was different lyrically on a couple of songs than what it had been on on the previous albums.
Yeah, I feel like on this one, the the spiritual piece of the lyrics was more front, on definitely on a couple of songs, but, eh, it's just weird when you're listening to Sweet Lynch that Mike's basically writing, like there's one song on here that, I feel like it's a worship song, but, I mean, the openness with how he can write in this band, which it's the same with Striper, but you got different personnel and different dynamics and chemistry. So it's really cool to me as I was listening to this. It's like you still have um that spiritual component to all these to a lot of these songs, which I
Yeah.
think is really cool that he can command the songwriting like that, and the freaking vocals, of course, are just stupid.
Oh, the vocals were great. I mean,
No,
he sounds incredible
yeah,
on
he
this
does.
album vocally, and I think too with where he's at right now and what's going on with him with what he had been diagnosed with. I think that that's probably a real. I mean, even though he plays guitar, his other instrument is his vocals, and
Yeah,
and it'll be interesting because they ended up not doing the surgery. They ended up putting it off. So it'll be interesting, and I'm not saying this bad, how the vocals will sound on this new Striper album because the vocals will be done before he does the follow up, I believe, the follow up appointment. So, because I know there, if I recall correctly, there were a couple of times he feels like, there's just something always in there, and how does that come through vocally? So it'll be interesting to see how the vocals turn out on the upcoming Striper album.
yeah, it'll be interesting if he can do those freaking 5 octave
Yeah.
screams. I hope he can, but yeah, if you know what? If he if you can't do it anymore, then that's cool. Right around what you can sing.
Yeah.
And we've always talked about what a freaking perfectionist Mike is, and so he's gonna write around what he can do. And if he can't hit that fourth or fifth octave, then hey, it's cool. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a great songwriter, so he'll write something that will fit his voice. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah. It's, but
Hell, we
like
all
you
get
said,
old.
I know. And like you said, vocally on this track, I mean, on the production and vocally on this not this track, but this album, again, was just outstanding. It's just an outstanding performance. And but it goes back to if you like the heavier side of Sweet and Lynch, then to me, this album had more of the heavier than the previous two albums.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I was making my notes, and like every song is like it's either the bass tone is sick or George Lynch's guitar solo is sick. I mean, there's there's a lot going on in this record. They kind of have a lot of variety as far as like certain parts of songs, and then they'll go and do the shredder stuff. But I
Yeah.
mean, it there's some really cool tones on here as far as I know I've gushed about the rhythm section, but um, George has it's some funky acoustic arrangements, and there's some cool like I don't know how we're gonna do this. So, like I'm looking at here and I'm looking at It Rains Again. The vocals. There's a dual vocal part on that song on the open, which is awesome. Um, so yeah, I was digging that because I always love harmonies. So that one kind of hit me, but there's a lot of heavy stuff on here, but it's heavy mixed in with some cool bridges, and I mean, I don't know, it's an interesting record for me because I mean, I have notes on all these songs, and it's just like, all right, some of these are just like, I'm pounding you in the face, and then some of them are like, hey, there's a cool acoustic vibe on this, and then it gets big, and it's it's some really good song structure and songwriting.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I will admit, like what you just said, e- even though even though it tends to be heavier, it's not the same heavy throughout every every song. This I will say this, and people may disagree with me, but for some reason, this song kind of sounds to me like a song that could have been on it would have been a heavier song, but it could have been a song kind of like on Reborn.
There's several songs on this record that I could put on a certain Striper record. Um, but but yeah, I mean it it is interesting because I've got a few songs that have a Dokken feel. I mean, obviously it's freaking George Lynch, but and then there's some that have a Striper feel to them, which I thought was, it's kind of charming. But um, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you could put some of these songs on a Striper record, but you can also put a couple of these songs on a Dokken record.
Yeah. And then with this song for me actually ended up being one that I put down love next to. I love this song.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I yeah, I dig it. I mean, it's a it's a really good song. I mean, there's when I do my notes, I put the bottom songs at the bottom. so, so and I have a whole cluster of songs at the top because yeah, it's like there's some stuff that speaks to me like it feels like 80s LA, like You'll Never Be Alone. It's it's a little dirty, but it has a great bass tone, and but it just feels like 80s LA for some reason, and I don't know, it was just something that hit me, and I feel like every song on this record kinda hits me in a different spot. Something's dirty, something's, cool acoustics, cool dual vocals. I mean, there's just there's a lot of range on this thing.
yeah, this is a song that I like, the You'll Never Be Alone, because this is one of the songs where I wrote because I wasn't hearing the bass as clearly as I had heard on the previous 2 albums. But you get into the verse, I mean, the guitar kinda pulls back, and you can just hear Alessandro just taking it away with the beat and the drums throughout
Yep.
the verse of this song, and then it's just, to me, like you, this song just hits because, it just really is talking about, "I'm gonna be your rock," you're never I mean, what the title track is, "You're never gonna be alone, I'm always gonna be here."
No, lyrically, it's a banger. I mean, because I love Spotify where it syncs the lyrics as you listen to the song, so I was doing that,
Yeah.
yesterday and this morning, and so, yeah, it's like, yeah, You'll Never Be Alone. Freaking it's a great song, but it has, like, this dirty kinda guitar tone, which is not a bad thing. It just sounds kinda LA-ish, and I don't know what if anybody knows what that means, but it sounds 80s to me, but it's I really enjoyed the song because yeah, it was just, like, kinda just gritty because I love the darker side of this, and so, yeah, I
Yeah, I
so
mean, I mean, this was another one that I like. So let me ask you this about this particular song because this song reminded me of something, Leaving It All Behind.
okay.
It's the 4th track on the album. And I put on here, it reminds me of something. And I couldn't piece together what it was reminding me of. Like, who did this kind of sound like? Where it could be.
I put in my notes for this song, Barry Lynch, solid lyrics, and a Dokken vibe.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
But
Because I was like, I
I know
kept like,
I know you're not a Dokken guy, but I didn't
and
compare it to any individual song. That's just what I had thrown up there.
it's funny that you say that it because I kept thinking, what does this sound like to me? I know it sounds like something, and this is a song. This was the second song, and there were only two songs on the album, but this was the second song that I wrote "okay" next to. And now that you kind of say that it had that Dawkins vibe, I was never really a Dawkins fan. So it's kind of like maybe that's why I felt okay, but I'm sitting there listening to it going, what does this sound like? And maybe that's why I couldn't pull it out of my memory banks was because of the fact that, I was just never really listening to Dawkins in the past. But if you go watch, I think they did this song to a video.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
You can find
Now,
that on YouTube. Yes.
the kid's room in this video, just like you just completely step out of the 80s with everything he has up there. I mean, I think he had Van Halen 1, he had the Dr. Feelgood up. He had what else did he have? He had a
Now there's
yellow
a
and black guitar in there, and it
yeah,
looked
there
like
was a
what a
lot of
maybe Michael would have used in like on the Yellow and Black Attack or on Soldiers Under Command. And gosh, there was another band. It was Ozzy's. You know, so it was just like this kid's room was just
it's very retro.
total
Yeah,
total
very
80s, total retro 80s on it.
yeah, very 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 retro. Yeah, I watched that this morning actually. Pretty
I know it's
cool.
funny. Speaking about 80s retro, with the show I'm going to next week, there's this big party on Tuesday night, and it's an 80s theme party. So
You will have a blast.
one of our partners is putting it on, and it's like, oh, they're doing 80s. That's going to be fun.
Only if they
Uh,
pick the right music.
yeah, I mean, if it's all like
You might
Thomas
be listening.
Dolby and all that kind of stuff, early
I was gonna
80s, I'll
say
be
you might
like,
be
I'm
listening to a
out.
lot of crappy pop music. Be listening to like Tiffany or something.
Oh, I think we're alone now. Come on. It was the whole Tiffany or Debbie Gibson debate.
Yep, because Britney didn't come around till the '90s.
Yeah, she didn't come around until the 90s. So it was in the 80s, it was Team Britney or not Team Britney, it was Team Tiffany or Team Debbie. And people that are
Tiffany
younger,
one. I met Tiffany one time.
did you really? Where?
She was at the freaking mall.
Oh,
Just happened to bump into her and fist bump and go on. So whatever.
I never met either one of them. So you have you can you have that fulfilled in your life that you met Tiffany. I'm glad.
Yeah, great.
Okay, we went off the tracks there,
Don't
but
care. No, but dude, I mean, so I'm not. We're still kind of just flowing. So I'm good. But
okay. But I
one
mean,
of the
this,
go ahead.
yeah, I felt like with this song that lyrically, I felt like it could be a couple of different ways interpreted. Meaning, is it more relational? Is it more spiritual? Is it
Yeah,
more? So when I read through the lyrics on it, that's how I kind of, and I should say that's how I kind of, but that's how I interpreted it was, oh, this could be relational, this could be spiritual. And of course, when you're doing a Sweet Lynch album and you have George Lynch, who says he's an
atheist.
atheist, so it's, but knowing where Michael's at, it's like, how do you want to interpret this song?
Well, I mean, it's always been like a conundrum with Mike writing anything. It's like sometimes you can't tell if it's a love song or a worship song. So I mean, this one was I I feel exactly how you feel because it's like when I was listening to the song and watching the lyrics, I was just like, all right, I can't tell. I think this it could go either way,
Yeah.
which is part of the charm of Michael Sweet. It's like, all right, this might be a love song or it might be I'm talking to God, so but I think this song for me, you interpret it how you interpret it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could play this song for my wife as a love song, or I could play this song as kind of a worship song. So it's that's pretty cool if you can, get in that lane and nobody can tell like what you were thinking about when you were writing the song. So that's a cool talent to have. So I'm not a
And you have
song.
to be, and to pull something off like this with a George Lynch, you got to be able to write lyrics like that.
Right,
That
right,
even if you pull, because I mean, you go back to Unified and the song Walk, that is
right.
directly walk with the wise and run with the fools. I mean, that you can pull that directly out of Proverbs and be a Bible verse, but at the same time, even though we're speaking something biblically here, it's just something that is just I shouldn't say common sense, but it's just a life thing that people, yeah, if you are around wise people or if you're around idiots, this is what's going to happen. So he has to, when he's doing, I feel like when you're doing a project like this with Sweet and Lynch, yeah, I can still pull from my faith. I can still pull from all of this, but it can't be as direct as more than a man, or it can't be as direct as, and I think that's one of the things I've read before where he likes doing projects like this, meaning Michael Sweet, he can delve into a little bit different, vibe of a lyric, but, not in a sense at all betray what he believes in.
No, that's a great point. I mean, but even with certain Striper songs, I mean, there's certain songs where is this a love song? Is this a worship song? Because there are a few where it can go either way, and that's totally fine. But yeah, with Sweet and Lynch, the dynamic between those two it's really fascinating. So Lynch, and we talked about this before, but Lynch is like, I mean, he's a freaking guitar legend, and he he has shown like a bit of a yes, I'm a amazing guitar player, and but he's also professed that he's an atheist, and then for Mike to come in and he's not, he doesn't give a about what he's writing about, and that's a that's a cool chemistry, I guess. I mean, it's just that him and Lynch can get along like that.
Yeah, because I mean, you think back. I mean, I think back to the previous album where you got Afterlife on it.
Right. Oh yeah.
I mean, you have that song on it, and it's like Lynch and what he believes in probably doesn't even believe that there's an afterlife.
No, 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 there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on all three of these records that Lynch doesn't believe in. So, so he's like, just let me play my guitar, and that that's totally fine with me. I wish he would. I wish him and Mike would probably hang out more, and maybe you know, not sure
Yeah.
what I'm. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, but yeah, some of the solos on this record are really. I mean, you can tell it's George Lynch. I mean, people. I don't know how much respect he gets as a guitar player. I feel like I hope it's a lot because, I mean, again, I've always been a Dokken fan, so um, but yeah, I mean, some of these solos are just freaking stupid.
So you said earlier that there was a song that you said it could you felt like it could even be a worship song. Which song was that?
Oh goodness gracious! Oh, um, well, it's a banger, but I mean, "Time to Believe." I mean, I know I'm not singing that in church, but lyrically, every time you breathe, it's time to believe. I mean, just lyrically, this song. I mean, you can tell where Mike's coming from. So so that was one of my ones I was like, oh, there's a couple on here that, you know, eh, that aren't so straightforward, but this one is like, "Hey, man, time to believe," and, like, all the lyrics are they're real it's really in your face, which which is I mean, I dig it, but, yeah, it's just, a lot of the vocals on here, again, I haven't listened to this record, that much until the last few days, but, this one might have been, like, the most straightforward as far as, like, faith-based lyrics. Um, I'm not sure, I don't know how you feel about that, but
Yeah, it's I mean, I see where you're coming from on the lyrics. I mean, this song I wrote next to this particular song as forget sometimes that I'm on camera as I'm just sitting here stretching back in my chair if you're listening to this, not on camera. Um, it's I mean, I wrote next to this one that I liked it. It was a good song, and I do love the chorus part of it when he really gets into that part of the song. It's lyrically, I don't know what I was doing at the time I was listening to this song, but I'm looking back at my notes and I'll be honest with you, I don't have any notes on the song except good and I like it.
hey, man, sometimes that's all it is. I mean, there's a couple on here too. I mean, "Leaving It All Behind" is I mean, it's still kind of the same kind of vibe. It's like
Yeah.
but the solo on "Leaving It All Behind" is pretty freaking sick. So, I mean, it's I love Oz Fox and I love Michael Sweet as guitar players. Um, l I can just I have, like I can count on one hand the people that when they start playing, I know exactly who that is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's EVH, it's Steve Vai, but George Lynch is one of those guys. And so I just I don't know. This some of the solos on this record is really cool. I mean, "You'll Never Be Alone." I love the guitar tone and it's dirty and the lyrics are awesome. Great I swear, the bass tones on this record are just I just love them. I don't know what else to say. Um, yeah, I mean, even something like "It Rains Again," it's like it's got this cool dual vocal in the open. There's just a lot of different kind of flavors going on with this record, and that's part of the reason I like breaking out of the Striper box and listening to other artists create with Mike because he is his vocals and his writing and he's so freaking I feel like he's underrated, but that's just me. But
Yeah.
I'm
We've
a
talked
fan.
about that before. I
Yeah, we
mean,
have talked about it.
with just him being underrated as a songwriter, as a producer, as a guitarist. I mean, I just and I think when we get into because we kind of have I mean for our listeners we've mapped out what we want to do the next few weeks. Oh, I do want to say this. I meant to say this at the top of the show. I want to correct myself on one thing that we did say. We said last week that by covering the final battle that was the final album that we needed to cover, but then as I went back through I went because we had talked about them when we were doing our top 10, but we haven't done our rankings and we haven't gone just talked about these two records specifically on a episode because I went back through and I was like, wait, I don't think we've done these. And I went back and I went, nope, 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 nope. And we have not dived into Reborn, which will be interesting to discuss because you have the Reborn Striper album, and then you have the Reborn Michael Sweet album. And so it'll be very interesting as I listen to that one, and then I listen to how Michael came back at it, and put put it together differently, that's going to be an interesting listening to, especially because I've got in my mind how I want to listen to that. But we also need to do a rundown of Murder by Pride,
Yeah,
which
that's gonna.
a lot of people give grief to those two albums because, oh, they sound like Michael Sweet's solo albums, and we'll get into all of that when we run down those two. But we also decided that in a few weeks we want to do our controversy stuff. And we've thrown some ideas like what controversy was the band facing on the first half versus, what they faced on the second half. What do they face as a whole? What do they still face today? Some of the same things. And I've got ideas spinning in my head already as I've been thinking about it. So that's kind of what we're looking at over the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's cool. Like the fact that we missed both of those records is ridiculous, but yeah, I can't wait to get into both of those. And yeah, the controversy episode is going to be fun because it's going to force me to think a little more. But
Yeah.
but yeah,
Because after we do the next two albums, outside of the greatest hits albums and live albums, we're done with new material
we're
albums.
not done.
Well, I meant rankings, like dissecting an album and going into an album the way that we have. We're done with that. And so then, we're going into what we've been kind of teasing since the beginning, since we started this, is the controversy. So just wanted to throw that out there. I meant to do that at the top of the show, but that's what we got coming up over the next few weeks. Let me ask you this, getting back to Sweet and Lynch.
Okay.
Where did you land on this song, Miracle?
It was in my bottom 4.
Really? See, I love this song. This is just
dude, it's not a bad song. The more I listen to this, and as I was overthinking this record like hardcore this morning. So so I was having to start to rank things. But yeah, this one was in my number 8 slot.
Because see, I just love Lynch's guitar tone on this and vibe. I think it's really cool. And as I was listening to the album, this is the third track on this album, and I was listening to it this week. I went from okay to good to love this one. So this was really the first song on the track on this album that I was like, I really love this song. I love it lyrically. This is one of those songs that, he's saying, "You're my miracle." He's looking at, and the way that he wrote the way that I interpreted it is this would be a song to your better half. Like, you're my miracle. I went through all this stuff. And so it's just, so when I compare it to the first two albums, you don't have that slower song, but you still have that vibe in this album lyrically that, hey, I am going to do a song that could be about my better half. And this is where I feel like that one landed on me. This is not one that I would send to my spouse. She would be like, what the heck is this?
What is this?
I mean,
yeah, this is not a Lori song.
No, it's definitely not. And but I listened to it. But I will say this, after I went through and did the songs last night, she actually went to bed early, and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this George Lynch interview. I'm going to watch the videos that they did for this song. And it's funny. And I'm not picking on anything here, so don't take it that way. But I think we've seen Michael Sweet perform so many times, and he always has the guitar in his hand. When you watch the video, since he's not playing guitar, it's almost like it kind of looks awkward not seeing him with a guitar in hand. It's like he's kind of missing his left arm because he's always got the guitar. He's always playing. He's always doing the Michael Sweet thing with the guitar. And on these albums, he steps back and is not playing. So it's just kind of like, it kind of just looks different not seeing him in a guitar. And especially when you get to the solo part and he's just kind of standing there moving versus playing the guitar. It's just a different look and feel from what my mental image has been for so many years with him having the guitar.
No, absolutely, man. I mean, I and this is silly, but um, our our second in command on the worship team, she always has she calls it her security blanket. So when she has a guitar in front of her, she's like, "Yeah, this is my security blanket, so I'm cool." But yeah, that's got to feel kind of weird though, especially when
Yeah,
you got somebody like Lynch standing behind you. Um, it's got to be a you got to have a different vibe about what you're doing. So yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
yeah, because I mean, if you go back and you think about the video from Unified with Walk, they're on the Hollywood Strip or whatever, wherever the Hollywood stars are at on the
Sunset.
sidewalk. Yeah, Sunset, thank you. Um, I mean, he's got a guitar in that video.
Yeah.
And but in the video for Miracle, he didn't. And it was just like I said, it was just awkward not seeing him have that guitar with him. And I think too, leaving it all behind, he didn't have the guitar and that one as well. So it just a different look and feel.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how he looks at it, but it
Yeah,
might be a different, maybe a weight that you don't need to worry about it because you got freaking
yeah,
George Lynch behind you. So yeah, I mean, I don't know mentally how that feels for him, but I just I know sometimes that I know certain guitar players where it's like if they just have to sing and they don't have their guitar in front of them, it's kind of weird. So, because they do consider the instrument as like kind of part of their anatomy sometimes. But that's music nerds for you.
yeah. It's music nerds. And yeah, you interpret things. And I mean, it's not bad. And that's why we do this because you interpret. I mean, I've had that comment before. They've been like, Tim, you're the guy who just likes the music where they love listening to what you have to say because of the musical interpretation that you can bring to the show, to this show as well. So that's always good.
Yeah, I mean everybody looks at stuff differently. I mean, I've got like some progressive notes in here that I mean, I know you're not into that kind of stuff, but I mean, yeah, it's just everybody looks at music from a different perspective. I mean, even if you're just a casual listener or you're a player or whatever, it's like it all matters. So, I mean, I love talking about this stuff. I mean, where let's see, hold on, what
What
song?
other songs did you have in the bottom?
Um, okay, so every day, um,
Every day. Yeah, we talked about every day.
world world full of lives. Cool guitar tone, but it was uh, just didn't hit me.
Yeah, this is the one where I said it was a little bit, really their only slow song on here. And I agree with you. I mean, I liked it. I like the guitar tone on it. I like the opening of it, but it's just one that just didn't necessarily hit me. I mean, it ended up in my good section because I do it ended up being more than okay, but it was probably on the borderline of okay and good for me. And I find it what I found interesting is one of the things that we always talk about too is like when you have a Striper album, you open up with a banger, you close with a banger, it's going to be a good album. This album opened up with Heart and Sacrifice, which was a banger, and then it closes with this one, and it's just kind of a different sequencing than what you kind of normally hear when Michael Sweet is doing something.
Right. Well, and you can also tell that there was more than one producer on this record.
Yeah.
So the sequencing was going to be a little bit different, but I mean, I I don't hate this song. I like the guitar tone. I like the lyrics. It just didn't bang it like, you know, whatever.
Yeah. So did you have any other ones that were in your but you said you had a bottom four.
I had Give Up the Night, and it was just cuz all the stuff above it was really cool. So I still like the song. I mean, the I think I like gosh, I'm almost regretting this choice at this point. um, no, I in my notes I had it was the guitar tone is really cool, and lyrically, one of the things that hit me was my own desires lead to nothing, and that kind of hit me in the chest. So even though it's in my bottom, I like I say, I didn't really have a skipper on this record, so I had like we say, we had to put him somewhere, and so that one lyrically was one of my favorites. So
Yeah, for this song for me, "Give Up the Night," this was one of my top songs off of this album. I liked the guitar on it. I think George Lynch did a portion on it. There's one part I'm gonna skip forward in the song a little bit.
okay,
Here we go. Because I think when we get into this part right here, yes, right here. Just as they're doing as Michael's swinging, then you got the tone coming in here. That part of the song, I was just like, "Oh," that to me, I just loved it. I was just like, I love that part of the song because I marked down here at the 2 minute 30-second mark, and I was like, okay, but I didn't write down solo and I didn't write down lyrically. So I had to go skip forward to why did I write 230 down? Is it the guitar? Because I also wrote down the guitar solo on here that I like. But when they go
yeah,
into that part there, I just really vocally, I guess maybe what you call the layers or whatever with the background. I just
yeah,
that part just made me just that to me that took the song from being good to me like, oh, I love this song.
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I like the song. I I have a favorite. The first Sweet Lynch record is probably my favorite, but I think this one might have busted its way into number 2. Just because there's a lot of flavors to this thing. Um, You'll Never Be Alone. I mean, it's freaking just awesome. We already talked about it, but like,
Yeah.
and after all is said and done, and we hadn't talked about it. Rains Again. Um, I love the opening to that song because it's got like this kind of funky little intro, and then we have the dual vocals, and I'm not sure who's singing the alto part. I assume it's the bass player, but I don't know. Um,
Yeah, that would make sense to me because I mean, when I look at the Soul Driver album, I mean, it's only the two of them that get the recognition on the Soul Driver album. And I'm trying, okay, open it up. That's all the lyrics. Yeah, I mean, it's literally when you look at the Soul Driver album, it's Michael Sweet vocals, Alessandro guitars, bass, keyboards, backing vocals.
Good lord,
And
where's ma
then
where's earning that money?
it's produced and then this was produced by both of them.
Yeah, yeah,
It's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorite albums.
yeah, it's cool. I mean, yeah, it's cool.
Maybe we'll do that for episode 30 since we're talking about Alessandro now. We'll do
Man, I'm gonna have
Soul
to do some
Driver episode
research
30.
on that, brother, because I looked him up and I didn't know any band that he's ever been in. So,
But
but
no,
he's
I ended up ranking this song as one of the songs that I love too because I love the opening of the song
yeah.
and it ended up ranking up like I said, I had 3 rankings on this. I didn't necessarily rank them 1, 2, 3, 4. I just put on here as I was listening, okay, good, and love. This has love this song next to it.
Well, usually when I do my notes, I do like a ranking. So I had this song at number 3. So
Yeah, I don't know. I told you at the beginning of the show I had some stuff going on this week or before we hopped on the show, and I think I kind of just lost ranking them numerically, but it's
no,
like I know where my bottom and my mid and my top ones were. Now, what did you think about Where I Have to Go?
where I have to go is I had that at number 5. Great drums. The rhythm section is kicking it here. Um, I I really like the song. Um, but yeah, I think once I started listening to this, I was like more in tune with the bass and drums. Um, I didn't listen. Well, I obviously listened to the lyrics, but um, this one was kind of middle of the pack because there's definitely some songs that I like better, but um, I mean, just throughout this whole freaking record, man, the bass and drums are just I just feel like they're killing it. And I hate saying that because I love my boy Brian Tichy and James Lomenzo. so, so
And I'll give you some after we get done, talking about some of these songs. I'll give you what Michael Sweet has said about possibly doing a fourth Sweet and Lynch album.
man, okay. I I'm not gonna hate it. I mean, but yeah, I mean, where I have to go, I did I did love the lyrics, but I felt the rhythm section was just one of the more solid songs on this record.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because this one ended up with a good next to me, so I would say it would ended up in the middle of the pack for me as well, like it did for you. But I mean, when it had lyrics like it just really for me, it's just like in this world of chaos, in this world of whatever, just be who you are. It's kind of more like a self-discovery type lyrical theme on this because I mean, even when I'm down in mind, it's usually from words, cure to heal my wounds, fight for my own soul, and seek out the truth. It's like, yeah, the world is going to press you, but keep pushing forward and just be yourself. Just it was interesting. Your wife actually liked it, but I think this was just kind of on my own personal mind this week. I had posted it. I didn't post it, but I reposted it. It was if you have to filter yourself around people, those aren't your people. You
Oh,
know,
yes, yes, I remember that, yes.
and
And I totally agree with that. I mean,
yeah,
if you and I are on a freaking phone call together, I'm gonna say whatever the I wanna say,
yeah, I know.
and if that's a problem for you, then but obviously you're my people, but I mean, yeah, it's sometimes you get around folks and they're just like, you know, you say stuff and they're just like, "Oh my gosh, you just said that." And I was like, "You know what? I'm not filtering my I'm too old to filter myself."
Well, it's interesting, and I'm going to be a little real here. It's just lyrically, this song and that post are some conversations me and my wife were having this week.
Well,
You know, and it's just like you just said, I'm too the age we are. We don't one. I don't feel like we have time to be filtering ourselves, and the thing is, if you're having to filter yourself and you're not being yourself, are you really being? What's that relationship really like then? You
right.
know,
Well,
is
it's
it
like you just
just the
said. I mean, if you're not being honest with your people, then maybe they're not your people. I don't I
exactly?
don't really hang around with people that I really can't be honest with. I mean, and I want to be around people that are going to be honest with me and if I need to get I've had a couple of things this past couple of weeks where a couple of my boys have come at me and it's like, "Hey man, you're kind of screwing up a couple of things." And it's like, "You know what? Okay, I will try to correct those." But you need those people that will check you on your BS sometimes too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if I can't just say whatever the hell I want to around you, then I don't know. We're probably not not it's not a relationship. It's just somebody it's a surface thing and I can't do surface anymore.
No, I agree with you, and it's like, you can only talk about, and you can only talk about, I mean, I know you love sports and I love sports, or we both love certain sports. I shouldn't say we love all sports, but we love certain things about sports. But that's the thing with you and I. You and I can talk more about more than just sports. We can
Yeah, we can
talk
talk about
more than
anything.
just, yeah, more than just politics, more than just whatever's going on. And it's just like, I read that, I read that, I heard this song, read along with the lyrics, and I'm just like, okay, this is where I'm at. So from, uh, I came home one morning and I was like, Lori, I got to talk to you. And so we started talking, and it ended up being good, but it was just like, hey, listen, this is where I'm at. This is how I feel. This is, and I don't want to be this way around people. And not that I have a lot of people, that I'm like that, but it's getting into a deep, it would be a deeper conversation to have, but it's just like, hey, this is where I'm at. And I want to be myself. And if you don't like me for what I think, what I say, how I believe, whatever it is, it's okay. You
No,
know,
it is
I
okay.
don't, I don't need 500 people to be my people.
No, I need like 5.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, literally, I I think I could count them on one hand, and that's totally fine. It's yeah, I mean, you don't need 100 friends. You need like 5 that will, bail you out of jail.
Bury the body with you, as you like to say.
Bury the body. Yes, exactly. Well, I only have one of those. So,
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go to jail for you, man.
well, you would bail me out if I was in jail.
Yes, I would. I would do that. I would
No,
do
I
that.
only have one bury the body, so you don't have to worry about that. So, so,
All right.
so anyway, can we talk about something for a second?
Yeah,
How in the heck do you not like Heart and Sacrifice?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe, because I think you, I think you know this about me, and I think our listeners know this about me as well. For me, a song doesn't just capture me musically, it captures me lyrically. And I think the song, even though it's a good song, it just, I think both parts were kind of missing for me. It just didn't gut punch me. It didn't make me stop and think. It didn't like hit me at the core. And so it just ended up being okay. Like I like it. It's okay. I think it's just, it didn't resonate with me like I like songs to resonate with me with,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
that's fair. I mean, that's my number one song on the album. As I was going through it, but I mean, it just hit me in my wheelhouse. The freaking solo is sick and it's fast and just you know it it reminded me more of kind of a Judas Priest vibe. But yeah, it was just I don't know. I really enjoyed that song.
Yeah, I think that's what it just boiled down to. It was just one as I listened to it and I listened to it again, listened to it again. It's the opening track. And this could be the other thing too. The first time I listened to, because typically when we do this, the first time I listen to, I give my initial reaction. And maybe I became biased over the week as I was listening to this again, giving my initial reactions because it was like, oh, I wrote this one was okay. Oh, I want to get to this song, instead of taking the time to really let me, okay, listen to it again and be honest and real. Maybe I got biased the first time I sat down and wrote something that then the rest of the time I listened to it, I was like, oh, yeah, this song's okay. I mean, that could have been it too.
Well, that I mean, like I say, that was my number one. So I just it just
Yeah,
like I
because over
said,
the past few weeks, when we've done the striper rankings, we've ended up with, I mean, we may not have had the same number one, but we've ended up like out of the top 4 songs, 3 of the 4 were the same. So if this was your top one and this one was down here for me, it just
Hey,
maybe
whatever,
it was
man.
my mood. Maybe it was my mood. I don't know. Could have been a
Well, that's the
number of
thing.
things.
Well, that's the thing too. As we're doing these things, it's I just that one to me, that that was an easy number one for me.
I
So,
think the only song that we haven't addressed yet is "Will It Ever Change?"
man, I love the opening of this song, and the contrast between the verse and then into the second piece. I mean, the contrast is really cool. And in my notes, I had the the solo is like it sounds really progressive. There's a lot going on there. Um, but yeah, I love the opening because it's just kind of it's just that tone is just dirty. So yeah, I dig this song a lot. This was my number 5 if I'm
Yeah,
ranking
this
them.
Yeah, this song I ended up writing down next to this song that I loved it, and one of the things that you said about it was it starts off really grinding, kinda hard, and then when it gets into the verse, it kinda changes the whole tempo of the song, and that really drew me in as well because it was like, anytime there's any kinda tempo change like that, it kinda it draws me in to that song. Because here we are right back into the second verse of the song, and you heard, I mean, if you were able to hear it, you had the chorus going on, you had the driving guitar, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's take a step back now, go a
We're
little bit
back.
slower
Yeah.
and get a little bit more into it. But I mean, this ended up being in my top tier of, hey, I love this song.
No, it's a good song. I mean, like I say, I love the contrast and I love the guitar solo in this thing. It's not quite a Dream Theater vibe, but the the way he's playing it's definitely it's not a standard rock guitar solo. There's some more going on there, but yeah, I love how they swap the contrast between verse, chorus, verse, and that kind of thing. So yeah, um, like I say, it was at my number 5. So
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, we've kind of hit on all of the songs in a sense. I know we briefly talked about after all I said and done.
that's
It's
it.
kind of a weird after all I said and done. I don't know if I would say it like that.
No, it's after all is said and done.
Oh, after all is. Okay, I left off the is. Well, no,
But
what's weird is when I plug it in right here, it says after all I said and done. So that's just a
that's
typo in what I'm looking at right here then.
that's funky. But I mean, if we're talking about that song, I love the acoustic piece of it, but then it gets like big.
Yeah.
But the lyrics about restoration and everything, I mean, it's a powerful song lyrically. Cause and it just feels like the some of the production elements. I mean, there's like layers of vocals in there too. So put that on top of the vocals. I mean, it's like I say, it's a powerful song. I love the opening with the acoustic. Um, so yeah, I mean, I, I got nothing. I don't really have any bad things to say about any song on this record. It's kind of ridiculous. I usually am more critical. So
Okay, I'm looking. Yeah, I'm with you. I love this song. It's a little bit. I think the thing I loved about this song is when he gets into the verse, you can just really he just really feels like he's going from just kind of this slower, I don't want to say slower, but this just kind of he more drive and passion in a sense come out in the verse. And I think it just matches really well with how the flow of the music is going with that song is too, because all of a sudden he gets into after, if there's nothing to forgive and there's nothing to hold on to, you're no longer close to me and I'm no longer close to you. I mean, it just really, and that's just impactful because I mean, he just, at the same time, that's what happens in relationships over time. I mean, sometimes there is nothing that happened, or maybe something did, and you do forgive the person, and it's like, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be restoration, even though this song does talk about restoration at the end of the song. Is restoration's what we need? Yes, it is, after all is said and done.
Yeah, no, I mean, this one for me, I don't know, it just kinda hit me in the chest a little bit, just as we're yeah, like you say, maybe something didn't happen, or maybe something did happen, but we have to look internally if there's any need for restoration, like, I mean, that's a that's a big thing in a lot of folks' lives, I mean,
Yeah.
so you you have to I guess you have to look for those opportunities sometimes for restoration. And I don't know, that's kinda what I got out of it, but, um, yeah, I mean, just as a song within itself, I thought really liked the acoustic. I really like there's some gang vocals in there, and it really does talk about, restoration, so, yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of things that just kinda hit me lyrically. So when I find a song that doesn't really hit me in the chest musically, then I'll have to go and analyze the vocals, but yeah, this one was one of those. It didn't punch me in the chest musically, but I really like the vocals because it does talk about, I mean, restoration, so I've been there through that, so, and I appreciated everything that was going on here lyrically.
Yeah. Yeah, I did this one, and I take that back. This one isn't your normal ballad that you would expect. It's got like a different kind of slow vibe to it,
Yeah.
but it's a slower song on the album, but it did end up being one of my ended up being one of my favorites off of the track.
Yeah, it's not your traditional ballad, but I mean, it's a slower tempo and, that kinda thing, so yeah, I I can agree with that.
So, Sweet and Lynch 4, Michael Sweet, he did a interview, and I'm not familiar with the guy, but back at the end of December of this past year, he did an interview with Jorge Botas
Oh
of
my goodness.
Portugal's Metal Globe. And one of the questions that came up was there any chance of a fourth album from Sweet and Lynch? And according to the article, Michael Sweet went on to say, absolutely, there's always a chance. Depends on the label knocking on the doors again, asking for it, but they haven't yet. But he did say this, but I will tell them when they do knock that it's going to be done different. I don't want to do it like the last record, is what I'm saying. And so then he continued on. I personally, and he goes on, and I heard this in another thing last night as I was listening to it. I personally think the first album was the best of the batch. He goes, it had drummer Brian Tichy, James Lomenzo, and then he goes on to say, and this can make a huge difference too. How much money is the label willing to invest in it? And he said a little more money was spent. And that's what I mean by that. He goes, I don't want to compromise the quality and I'd want to go back and do it just like the first album. And the team, and that team was the best team you could ask for. There was something magical about that team. James, his playing is insane. Brian, I don't even know what to say. He's just one of the best I've ever worked with. George, he goes on to George. And he just said, and I think that one overall had the best songs too. There were a few more doozies on that one, and I'd like to repeat that and do something. And then I also read something, and I think somebody was basically paraphrasing what Michael Sweet said. Saw this article this morning, and then I saw this video last night after I did my rankings and already had my thoughts on the album. So what Michael Sweet was said about this didn't have any impact because I had already developed my own opinions on it. But he did say somebody else said they want to get back. He would want to get back to the magic of the first album is kind of like what he was referencing and stuff. So it sounds like in order for there to be a Sweet and Lynch fourth album, they're gonna, it sounds like the label's gonna need to put a little bit more money into it than whatever they did this past time and maybe get the original band back together.
Yeah, dude. If we can get Tichy and Lomenzo, I mean, yeah, pony up that money, dude. I mean, because I don't, I didn't look to the sales figures, but I mean, if you got players like, you know, freaking Lynch, Tichy, and Lomenzo and Michael Sweet, I mean, put up a little money for, I mean, just for the promotion. That's what they're talking about, basically. It's like, all right, how are we going to market this thing? I mean, you've got like amazing players, so it, I don't know. Again, I'm old. The business model has changed, so I don't know what they have to do to make that money. But as talented as all those guys, it just freaking pay them. I mean, like I say, I don't know what sales figures look like for the last of these records, but I don't know. I think when you have players of that caliber, you kind of have to pay him. I mean, especially, I mean, Brian Tichy can go play with anybody, and so can James Lemendez in freaking Megadeth. I mean, he doesn't need the money. So yeah, it's just I don't know. The model is just freaking weird.
Yeah, and I'm looking up if there's anything on the total number of sales for these albums because it's interesting because if you go and try to buy the first 2, because I wanted to add them to my collection. If you try to go and buy the first 2, they're basically out of print. You are only gonna be able to find it used or on eBay,
Dang.
and Heart and Sacrifice is still out there.
Well, yeah, it only came out like
It came out
May 23.
yeah, so it's almost been out 3 years, but when I've gone to Amazon and have looked at, "Hey, I wanna buy Only to Rise." Let's see. But, yeah, I mean, so it's interesting going back, yeah. So the audio CD for Only to Rise, you can get it for 40 bucks.
All right.
So and I wanna say
Did they even print a vinyl?
well,
Nope.
they did print a vinyl, but if you wanna buy the vinyl off of Amazon, it's only
I
$262.
was gonna I was gonna say I see the format on Discogs and it's like format CD and yeah, that's they don't even have a link to the vinyl, so
Yeah, and so I would love to see them do another Sweet and Lynch album. I mean, that's
man,
just me. I
God, just
would
go do a freaking concert somewhere.
but that's also what also he said when I mean, this was a few years ago after the 2nd album, Michael Sweet at that point was saying, "Hey, I've gotten to the point with Sweet and Lynch where I'm almost sensing feeling like maybe it's run its course. We did 2 albums. I talked about doing a 3rd and a 4th and a 5th, but there is kinda no point to it if we don't tour. We really should be touring and playing those songs live. It's kinda pointless after a while if you're not doing that." And there's
Yeah,
just so many, like we were saying at the top of the show, there's so many logistics that George Lynch was talking about, just getting them to be out there and being live and doing these songs. But I wouldn't mind having another one. And what was also interesting too is what Lynch said, and this talks about people with the influence of their music. He goes, when we did Unified, it was he goes, "I was listening to a lot of Queen, a lot of Brian May, a lot of and that's what was influencing me on that album, and at that moment." And so he was in a different mindset with Heart and Sacrifice, and I thought, "Well, that's interesting because, you know, because he was like, you got that whole operatic kinda thing going with Queen and stuff like that," and I started thinking, "Well, maybe that's why I like that one so much, because of how it was," but what was influencing him at the time, but I personally would like to see a 4th one, but I also feel the same way that you do. If you do a 4th one, commit to touring because we wanna see I mean, now you're talking about 40 plus songs that you could choose from. We, as fans of Sweet and Lynch, would want to see those particular songs live.
no, absolutely. And I never got to see Dokken live. They have a really good, um, what's it called? Beast from the East. It's a double live. I think it's a double live Dokken record. But one of my favorite Dokken songs is Mr. Scary, and it's an instrumental. But I've never gotten, never been able. Jesus, my English. Never been able to see George Lynch on stage before, like ever.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you ever saw him with KXM because I know you like them. I didn't know if they
They
had
never
toured.
toured. They never did anything either. That was my we talked about this before. It's like when you put these super groups together, I mean, hell, you got KXM, George Lynch, Doug Pinnick, and Ray Legier. I mean, give me a break, dude. Take that thing out on the road. I mean, Ray Legier is a drummer from Korn. Of course, Pinnick is bass player in King's X, and then you got George Lynch. Those songs are great. But I think they only made like 2 records. So if you're gonna be on your 4th record, if you're actually gonna do that, then I feel like you have enough material to go do some things. I mean, it's like if you just like, okay, we're gonna build the super group and we're gonna make 1 record, then okay, I get it. You're not gonna go tour on that 1 record. But we're at the point now where, as you know, you were quoting Michael, it's like, "Hey, man, it's time to go out if you're gonna do that many records."
Yeah, and I did look at it because I was looking it up. KX because I looked up George Lynch on something and I saw KXM did do 3 albums. Last one came out in 2019, but your point exactly because we've seen super groups get put together that only did 1 album, 10, 11, maybe 12 songs. Yeah, I get it if you're not gonna tour off of that because, hey, I'd like to make something with you." And that's what they do, and I mean, we can think back in the '80s when you had some of those I mean, some I don't wanna say super groups, but you had people that were from the '70s doing stuff together and
Well, David Lee
that
Roth, su
yeah,
super group.
and but when you I agree with you, when you get to album number 2 and number 3, now you're building a fan base, and now you're getting people who really like you and really wanna see you live versus doing 1 album and you say, "This is the only album we're doing. We wanted to do it. We've always respected each other, and we're gonna do something just to do it for fun." But when you start getting into multiple albums, yeah, let's see you live.
Yeah, yeah, and if you're I I respect the guys that are doing all of this because, you do have to have different creative outlets. I mean, looking that at Mike, it's like he's doing all kinds of stuff, and, Ray Luzier has done multiple projects. Pinnick, same thing. But yeah, you have these super groups, and I'm like, man, it's disappointing as a fan because I mean, I do love watching. I mean, Ray Luzier is a freaking phenomenal drummer. But not talking to that right now. But I feel like yes, some of these guys that are doing these kind of one-off projects, I was like, okay, are you just doing it to fulfill creative, your creative drive? And if that's cool, I mean, if that's what you're doing, then that's cool. But as a music fan, I would really like to see you on a stage somewhere.
And I
It's like freaking Metallica just announced they're going to be at the freaking Sphere, I have to go figure out how much those tickets are going to cost on Monday, but it's probably going to be a couple of mortgage payments. But yeah, it's like when you do the one-offs, it's like the fans want to see you do the one-offs because it's different from what they're used to seeing. So I don't know. I wish some of this stuff would pan out where they could go out and tour. And I don't know if it's cost prohibitive or and like we said earlier, logistically, it's a pain in the butt, I'm sure, but the fans would love to see some of that stuff. So when these super groups do their 1 or 2 or 3 records, like, all right, if you got 3 records, then you need to go play somewhere.
right, right. I totally agree with that, and I didn't realize that Luzier I know you said he was in Korn, but he actually did 2 albums with David Lee Roth.
Yeah. No, he's had a very storied career. I love that guy. If you can join a band and make the songs better than they were with before the last guy left, because if you go see Korn, if you're a Korn fan and listening to Ray Luzier play some of those parts versus crap, can't remember the first guy's name. He went and opened an Italian restaurant. Yeah, I mean, if you bring a guy in and he makes the songs better, it's like holy crap. I mean, that's a really hard thing to do. But I mean,
David Silveira.
Silviera, there you go. Of course, he opened an Italian restaurant. No, but Lazier is he's just more technical and he does make a lot of the songs better. He's one of my favorite drummers. So, but I mean, it would be cool, and I know it's a pain in the butt to get all that together, but some of these super groups need to kind of get off their butts and get on the road a little bit. I know scheduling sucks, but it would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, 4 albums, 3 albums in, yeah, let's do a tour.
Yeah,
So,
or I mean,
and hopefully that's one of the stipulations, like if Sweet says, you know, based upon that comment I read from that interview several years ago, hey, if we do a 4th one, we gotta go do some shows.
yeah. No, and yeah, and that would be amazing, dude, to see Mike outside of Mike doing solo or Striper. That I mean, that would be freaking George Lynch and Michael Sweet on stage.
Yeah.
That would be freaking sick.
Because I think we've always seen him, you know, I know it would have been I didn't get a chance to see him when he toured with Boston. It would have been great to see him with Boston, but
Yep.
to do something outside of what I've always seen him do for the past 40 years, that's why I think you hit the nail on the head. It's That's one of the reasons why I want to see him tour too. It's like, hey, you know, I would love to see this because it's different from what you normally do from a striper or even solo perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to go see Steve Vai and Joe Satriani in April, and it's the student. They should have called it the student teacher tour, but they didn't. For those of you that don't know, Satriani taught Vai as a child, and so now they're going out on tour together. So it's going to be absolutely insane because they're both virtuosos. But but yeah, stuff like that, and you know, none of these guys are getting any younger either. So it's
Yeah. I looked it up. I mean, George Lynch will be 72 in September.
yeah, that's insane. I mean,
And
but yeah, like
you think about that age. I mean, 72. I mean, yeah, I mean, you could sit there and say, well, the Rolling Stones are doing it. I
that's a
mean,
very rare case.
yeah, that's a very rare case. I mean, I would say that, I mean, and Michael Sweet is 10 years younger almost than George Lynch. So it just ends up being where are they going to be? I mean, how much longer would they be able to actually get on the road and do this?
Well,
I
that's
mean,
the
that's the whole
thing.
thing. That's the whole thing, you know, like with Hagar. Hagar is what, 76, 77 now, and we saw him on the Best of Both Worlds tour, and he went and did the residency, and he goes, I like this residency stuff. I mean, I think that he'll go and do a show here and do a show there, but to see him he's almost alluded to doing a tour like we just did, that ain't happening anymore. It's going to be residencies for me.
Well, he's also got $80 million in the bank, so
Yeah.
that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Well, it doesn't hurt, but at the same time, I mean, when you get to be 77, 78, get on stage, get off, get on a tour bus, sleep on the tour bus, sleep in a hotel, do that for weeks on end at 70, late 70s. Yeah, that's got to be tolling on your
yeah, I
body,
mean, but
taxing on your body.
yeah, no, totally. But Sammy's got a different. That would be a different dynamic for Sammy. He's not getting on a tour bus. He's getting on a freaking, you
Well,
know,
that's true.
he's getting on a private jet and doing
Flying
whatever.
to the next city.
Yeah, flying to the next city and whatever. But yeah, everybody doesn't have that luxury. So yeah, when you get to be older, it's like I understand why you wouldn't want to do it, but as a fan, it's just, something I would like to see. So if Sweet Lynch would go out and do some shows, I mean, I would travel to go see some of that stuff because it's I've never seen George Lynch on stage, but I'd like to see the dynamic of him and Mike on stage, and just something. For me as a music fan, I always like to see stuff that I haven't seen before.
Right. And I agree with you. Even if they didn't make a trip through Atlanta, if it was within distance where I wasn't having to fly to the other coast,
Right.
I mean, I would definitely want to go. Definitely want to go see them.
Yeah, that would no,
They
that
don't
would
have to come through Atlanta.
be totally fun. I mean, yeah, just seeing that, the different dynamics and who's who's the rhythm section going to be if they go out and just all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's cool. So I would love to see it. Whether or not they do it, hey, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I would love to see it.
Same here. Same here. So Sweet and Lynch, we've talked about all three albums. As I said earlier, my order is Unified, Only to Rise, Heart and Sacrifice. It sounds like you've got Only to Rise and Heart and Sacrifice very close to each other, followed by Unified. But ranking Unified for you and ranking Heart and Sacrifice for me as number 3 doesn't mean we didn't like it. It's just we preferred the other two more. That like we say a million times, it's got to fall somewhere. But
Yeah, it's all
for
good.
next week we're going to be doing Reborn, Striper's first album back on the second half of their career. Came out in 2005. First new material in 15, or I should say an album of all new material since Against the Law. So we're gonna tackle that one next week. So that one will be fun.
Yeah, that totally will be. Yeah, these next couple are gonna be fun. I love both these next two episodes that we're gonna do. So yeah.
Yep. It's definitely same for me. And so with that being said, it's Tuesday morning if you're listening, or sometime on Tuesday. Again, these drop every Tuesday. We will see you next Tuesday. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next week. Thanks for listening. We love you guys. See you then.
Love you guys.